Anyway, so we're talking about priorities. I'm going to just say it again for the recording. So we're talking about how to identify priorities when you're in the messy middle. And the messy middle is a term that was coined by Jeanine Blackwell. And she was our teacher for how to teach effective online classes. And Robyn and I started studying with her, I think, in 2016, maybe 17, even traveled to New Orleans to take classes with her. And we were developing what we thought was courses in how to officiate ceremonies using Reiki, because that's something that we've done a lot of. And how do you use Reiki to do that? So we did a whole bunch of work on that topic and things like that, articles, things like that. So anyway, then instead, the next step Reiki classes and that information demanded to be taught. And if like how suddenly something comes in and says, you think you're doing this, but no, actually, the energy itself will redirect you to a path that's, obviously in retrospect, it's like, oh yeah, okay, I see why I was going this way. So anyway, then it turned out in March of 2020, we already knew how to use Zoom because we had already been teaching online classes. And so when the pandemic started, we immediately knew how to do this. And so that's where this community started, was actually 3 years ago, over 3 years ago now, in 2020. And we started because we were like, okay, good, we can be online and we can be together and still see each other and still reconnect and really work with Reiki. And of course, what we've understood is how powerful distance Reiki really is by this kind of a community, by working online and having to spend the time using Reiki at a distance more so than in person. We've really learned just how powerful it is. So before the recording started, I was talking about some of the symbols or the Reiki energies. The symbols are representative of the energy, but how some of the symbols very specifically help with clarity of mind, help with establishing your priorities when things switch. Like I say, we thought we were going one direction, thought we were going another, found out we were going another direction, and then discovered the bigger picture behind it and the compelling need to learn how to teach Reiki online. It was so compelling, you guys, and you know how you get that and where that Reiki energy will come in and it's like, you have to do this. And it doesn't have to be about Reiki. So it's anything in life when you get that guidance. And so the energy just came in, and you can see now, of course, in retrospect, we can see the big picture of the guidance and where it took us. Because in addition, we were able to write the online supplement with William Rand in how to teach Reiki online and do the webinar with it. He received the energy and then, brought it in with us, and we received it with him, and then we're able to write the how-to. So then the place I was going with that was also the symbols, the mental emotional symbol in the Yusui symbol, the one SHK, it looks like a dragon. And then also Kriya, the Karuna symbol. That one is very specifically that Kriya energy is very specifically about priorities. So anyway, the energy itself, the Reiki energy, will actually help clarify the guidance that you get, the nudges that you get, help you determine, are you going to take action on them? Can you? Is your life in a position to do it that way, or do you have to look at it a different way because of the circumstances of where you're at? So sometimes, it also shows you timing, can be different than what you think. So where that led us all to was a really big understanding of just how powerful distance Reiki is. It's the term I read, you guys know what it is, quantum entanglement, the web. It's a whole term. I don't know enough about it. I just know to say it. But it means like the web, and how when one part here happens here, it happens here, because it's all the quantum entanglement. We're all connected. So anyway, where I'm going with all of that is the awareness of the power of distance Reiki individually, but also collectively. And I want to share some stories with the Peace Grid that we send Reiki to collectively on usually, I think it's the second Wednesday of the month at 7:30. And so when we were in Karama, on Mount Kurama, we were sending Reiki to the Peace Grid. Maybe I should explain the Peace Grids first. So there's a Peace Grid. And Lena Takahashi had her Peace Grid on our altar in our class on Mount Kurama, the recent one that we had, the Master and the Karuna class. So the Peace Grids are placed around the world. One is in the North Pole. William Rand had them made. He took them personally to the North Pole. One is in the South Pole. He took one to Jerusalem. It's in the Old City on the wall of the Mount of the Temple of Solomon. And one is in Michigan and the Reiki Center there, and one is in Hawaii, Hana, Hawaii, and the Reiki Center there. While we were on Mount Kurama this time, we were there. They placed the sixth Peace Grid in the temple on Mount Kurama. And we were blessed to have the priests do a blessing ceremony for us. And he had the Peace Grid, the real one, the Peace Grid on the altar during the blessings, and then allowed us to take pictures of it. It's on Mount Kurama, and there's a whole story around it too. But it's on Mount Kurama, and that was the sixth one. William started the Peace Grid project in the 1990s with the first one to the North Pole. And then anyway, so we got to take a picture. It'll be coming out in the Reiki ICRT Facebook page. It'll probably be a couple weeks. They have to do some stuff with the pictures, but of William holding the final Peace Grid in the temple on Mount Kurama. Oh, there's Alina. She was there. So anyway, then Lena Takahashi, who was really instrumental in placing the Peace Grid with William and with the priests on Mount Kurama, was there with us, and she kind of orchestrated all of the ceremonies, getting us to them and things like that. Well, she also had her personal grid on the altar. in our classroom. And our classroom is also at the base of Mount Kurama, right below the entrance to the temple, to the mountain. And so the Peace Grid meditation day was one of the days that we were there. And so the meditation day is on, again, the second Wednesday of the month, and people from all over the world send Reiki to the Peace Grid at 7:30 p.m. in their time zone. And you can also do distance Reiki for that. So if you can't be there exactly at 7:30, you can certainly use distance Reiki and do your Peace Grid time when you can, which also happened there. So anyway, over 480,000 people have registered, downloaded the Peace Grids on Reiki.org, and participate worldwide in this meditation. So the Peace Grid night was happening while we were on the mountain and during class. And so the class actually sent Reiki through the Peace Grid on Lena's Peace Grid on the altar, and sent the power of peace, of course, in the meditation. Lena is Ukrainian, and her brother is in Bakhmut. So he is in the most dangerous part of the Ukrainian war. He sent her the morning after the Peace Grid meditation, and she doesn't have contact with him. Every once in a while, he can send her an email, but she can't send to him or anything. Well, the morning after the Peace Grid meditation, he sent her a video where he and the other people in his troop were staying in a building. A bomb hit it maybe 30 feet from where they were, and none of them was harmed. Well, harmed is probably none of them was physically hurt. So he knew that there was some kind of a protection also around them, and talked to her about that. He told her that we felt this protection and felt the power of it. So then last week, with the increase there, he wrote to her and said he's just surrounded, and essentially was saying, this goodbye, this might be it. So they were told actually to evacuate, and some of them did try and they didn't make it. We have all been sending Reiki to them, and he wrote yesterday that he made it out, and the others with him did too. And he feels this incredible protection. Yeah. He knows it. He can feel it. And also for Lena and her family, sending the power of Reiki for her. And because she knows it's Reiki and World Peace Reiki, she can articulate the feeling of like the energy of that, intensity that she was feeling when we were all sending Reiki to her. She could actually feel it leaving, pulling away from her body. One of the things I always try to emphasize in understanding how Reiki energy works is that it brings the power of love into everything, brings that into the situation. It's important to always realize that what is released, so any of the lower density vibrations, the things that need to be healed, the negativity, whatever is released, travels into the light where it's healed. That's not always true of when energy is being released with some of the other energy modalities. Again, not comparing or being a better than, it's just an understanding that Reiki energy very specifically heals what is released. So any kind of extraction that you do, any time of negative energy is pulled out. So let's even say, looking at that piece where there's the absence of peace, the circumstances of peace is, the energy is going to go in there for all of it. And it heals. It actually goes back to original causes and heals. And so as those things are lifting, they're actually going into the light, which of course empowers the purity of then the what's revealing a person's wholeness that's actually there, the situation too. So there was another example, I can't give specifics of it, but in another class, we were at the top of the mountain and there were two people working together, giving each other Reiki, and it was really cold. And we were sitting on the ground. So we were all everybody was wrapped around each other, like sitting on the ground and having their arms around each other too, and sitting closely because it was pretty cold. So anyway, I looked up and these two people talked about how they also are from countries that are at war with each other. And how the two of them were just in this incredible field of love. And of course, I got to be there with them. And we all got to be there with them. And it was another one of those miracles of like, look at this, here's the truth. Here's the truth. It was these two women just in this powerful embrace of, and the just surrounded in this pure love energy and sweetness and peace. And so tomorrow night is the Peace Grid meditation. It's Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. in your time zone. So that's anywhere. And there are times you can't be there at 7:30. And so you can also use the distance symbol to send whenever you can send. And so you also, you can do that in any way that works for you. You can be in, you have to do it quickly with your mind. You can be like, we were there. I was actually at a distance in this particular Peace Grid time, and you can be beaming it directly. You could put like a note in your grid. That's flying right overhead. Is that as loud on your end as it is on mine? So I must be in the flight path. So anyway, you can send Reiki however you can do it. One of the things I think is also important to realize about Reiki is it doesn't have all the rules about the how-tos. It has, like, I love the rituals and getting to spend the time in the rituals. That's part of getting to spend when I'm in the rituals of how I'm doing Reiki. Then I have a deeper experience in that moment. But also Reiki energy is working however we need to. And it's one of its features. I always think of it as original instruction from creation. Like what created it and what was its original instruction. that's very easy to use, and we can use it any way we want, because really what we're doing is tapping into the frequencies that are already within us as well, because we're life force also. We are universal life force. On a reminder list for the peace grids, go to reiki.org and subscribe for it. It's not through my website, it's actually through William Rand's website. And so go to reiki.org and subscribe. If you've already get his newsletters, I think you already get it, but you'll at least get an email reminding, like an email reminder, so that for the peace grid. Also, the International Center for Reiki Training, social media always has it. And Danny, you probably post it on Reiki Lifestyle too, right? So yeah, our Facebook page too. So then to further this story, because it really is so ongoing, and those of you, I see Caroline, you're here too. I can't see everybody. Oh, and Sue's here. So Sue, I am going to do your mountain experience, sacred mountain experience. So that's just where I was headed into the story. So Sue is here, and she is a Reiki master teacher in Brazil, and also going through the licensed teacher program. And I'm her mentor through that, and she's my mentor through that. Always, it's a two-way thing. So she was also at the Karuna Reiki class in Japan, and she was actually there also prior to that class with Hiroshi Doi Sensei in taking his master class, and she was there for a long time. So anyway, that's a whole other story too. But she developed an experience for the mountain, and I want to do that for you today. She wrote it down and shared it with us to share. So this is a journey going up Mount Kurama, and then so you'll be guided for a time with it. And then also there will be a period of silence. So maybe for 8 to 10 minutes, something like that, I will be in silence. So anyway, I'm about to do that. So Sue, you want to wave your hands or unmute or something and say hi?
Hi, Colleen. Hi, everyone. It's really nice to know that you are going to share this experience. I hope everybody enjoy it.
Yeah, thank you. It really is beautiful. She did it with us yesterday. It was like with Lena and Lena Munikai and Sue. They're all working together through the licensed teacher program. Lena and Munikai, of course, are in Japan, and Sue is in Brazil. And Sue's doing her co-teach in Portuguese and English together with me June 17th and 18th. So she's in Brazil. She will be running her class, and there will be a translator that will go back and forth between Portuguese and English. And, I have to think about whether I have that registration up. If any of you want to do that, June 17th and 18th, take that class, email me, because I bet my web person hasn't put the class up on my website yet, the registration. Anyway, let's get to it. So if you want to play your own music, I'm going to have you do that. And you can get comfortable. This will be an experience which is like a guided meditation. And then there will be a period of silence for you to be in your own inner experience. And that will happen when I stop talking. We'll finish at about saying something to the effect of follow the light. And so then I'll be in silence for a period of time after that. And then I'll invite you to come back